The information presented is for informational purposes only. The opinions expressed are not necessarily the opinions of any Daikin company. This information should not be confused for accounting, legal, medical, or other professional advice. Please seek advice from a qualified professional for any specific questions.
Welcome to the Accelerated HVAC Success Program. My name is Ben Middleton. I'm the National Sales Training Manager for the Goodman, Amana, and Daikin brands. Today, we're joined with Miss Jennifer Bagley, CEO of CI Web Group. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me again. I appreciate the time.
So Jennifer, today we're going to be talking about all things marketing, and we are just coming out of the heavy event season, and many contractors have been to many shows. They've been to many workshops and training events, and they're learning so many different things about how the marketing landscape is just changing and evolving. And today you're going to help us demystify a little bit of all this information that's being thrown at them. Where should somebody start, and how do you kind of put your path together to really figure out what it looks like? And being here in the beginning of the year, it's the perfect time to really start putting that strategy together for spring, and then getting ready for even fall and start talking about that. So where does a contractor start when it comes to all things marketing and advertising?
So that is a huge question and a lot to be unpacked, primarily because as all these companies are out at different events and they're, listening to different advice from so many different experts, there's one missing piece from all of it, which is how does it apply to you based on the phase and the stage that your company is in? And the challenging part is there isn't one size that fits all. As an entrepreneur, we go through different phases, different stages, right? The beginning of your entrepreneurship, you do all these silly things like hire your friends and family. You look for anybody that is willing to work, because you don't have the money to invest in top talent, right? And you tend to do a lot of things on a DIY version. Every single stage of a business requires you to reiterate and reiterate and reiterate. So the things that you do from the beginning, if you're a startup, entrepreneur, underfunded, don't have a huge chunk of cash, you didn't grow a money tree in your backyard, that's a very different process than a company that's at the next phase where they've graduated from that initial startup and now they are a referral-based business, and they've gotten to the point where they've seen that $1 to $2 million in business, and they've convinced themselves that they only do business by referral. And year over year over year over year, they still sit at that $1 to $2 million and can't seem to creep above that. And that's when you really need to nail down your marketing strategy. So each one of these phases, you go from 1 to 2 million, 2 to 3 million is a very different jump, 3 to 5 is a very different jump, and then we could move into 5 million, 10 million, and then when you get to the point where you're either looking to be acquired or you're acquiring. So we'll just start at the beginning, right? In the beginning, I feel like this is that point where if you could have all the lessons that you have learned at a $5 million business handed to you at a $1 million business, you'd avoid a lot of pain. You'd avoid a lot of speed bumps, road bumps, tail whoopings, whatever we want to call it, right? The things that entrepreneurs have to go to. So out of the gate, this is really about establishing a brand for the future. You've got to be able to look 5 years out, 10 years out. You essentially have to plan for the beginning based on what you want the end to look like. So this isn't naming your company Johnny's Heating and Air Conditioning. This isn't JLM Heating and Air Conditioning. This isn't something that maybe is only related to heating and air conditioning, because in the future, you might want to add additional services. You might want to add plumbing or electrical or things that are a natural fit. So when it comes to the initial portion, this is really about establishing a brand that can last and establishing a brand that you can live with for that next series of phases. Same thing with your website. This is, in the beginning, it's that DIY version, right? You're getting a Wix website, you're building it yourself, you're getting a GoDaddy site, you're getting a template, you're leasing or renting a site from an agency that gives you a really cheap way to get into a website. And then over time, we need to start scaling up. So I think the first thing that everyone has to understand is, how does the information that I'm receiving right now, how does it apply to me? And sometimes it doesn't, right? Sometimes it's not that you shouldn't do those activities, or that you shouldn't be investing in paid ads, or you shouldn't be investing in media, or you shouldn't be investing in billboard. It just means you shouldn't be doing that right now.
But Jennifer, you're not just another talking head out there doing this. You've actually done this yourself. So if we just step back and then take a look at where your business has come from. So you started out really creating an app and putting it together for a couple of companies to get together, and that was really the birth of CI Web Group. But it was you, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was you living out of an office with your son,
Yep.
playing in the conference room with all of his toys, and you've kind of gone through these stages, right? You've hired all of your friends and family,
Yep.
and a lot of it was a do-it-yourself project as you were working, and today you've grown to a very large marketing agency, really, that can take care of all of the needs that a contractor has. And you've got over 100 employees, and you continue to add to your team. But even today, you've got your own struggles that are going on with some of those growing pains and putting in new layers of management and new structure. So let's talk a little bit about that,
Okay.
and talk about how that applies back to what many of the HVAC contractors are going through. So tell me about the beginning.
Oh my goodness. So this is my fourth company.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2006, we launched this. And it was technically a department within another company that I owned, a real estate and mortgage company. There was nothing about it that was easy. Nothing about being an entrepreneur is easy. Nothing. You put your blood, sweat, tears, you rack up your credit cards, you put every dollar you have into it, you cut corners everywhere you can, whether it's with your family, time you should be spending on other things, and you dump your entire soul into entrepreneurship. And then you learn and you learn and you learn. So from that point to now, everything from infrastructure, making sure that I have the proper software and technology, making sure that we have the proper branding, making sure we have the proper website, making sure that we're visible to consumers, making sure that we have the proper people. I mean, in the beginning, like you said, it was friends and family. And if they were willing to volunteer, I took them in. Like, I'll train you, I'll teach you, we can do this. Now it is, we actually have over 300 people now, and we're in a different phase where we're trying to make a large agency feel the same way that we did back in 2010 when I knew every customer's name. So this really was about hiring the best of the best of the best talent, is getting to the point where you get out of your own way as an entrepreneur and you start looking for team members that are experts.
Mm-hmm.
Not local, but experts. Bringing on a CFO, understand your balance sheet, understand your profit and loss statement, understand how technology flows, understanding data, understanding automations, workflows. We can continue down this path, but right now it's we're no longer it's not about hiring an intern or someone who wants to learn digital marketing. Right. It's about headhunting the best of the best of the best out of competitors and bringing them into the business and teaching them your processes.
And there's a human side to running a business too. So I remember you telling me a story about your team that you have in Nepal that works on a lot of stuff, and something had happened. It had gotten really cold out, or there wasn't heat in the office, and you decided that you were going to send space heaters over to help them. Not really thinking about the electrical supply differences that are in a different country. But tell us a little bit about that.
Oh my goodness. So they had a huge earthquake, and we had an office there, and the office was crumbled, and they were living out of tents, and then they wound up in these kind of shelters, and they were freezing. And Mike and I thought it was a good idea to go buy them jackets and space heaters. So we went to Costco here, like in our backyard. And then we bought space heaters, and then we went to the UPS store, and it was like a ridiculous thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to be able to ship all these space heaters to them. And they got the space heaters and were like, this is really nice, but we have different plugs. We can't plug them in. And there were so many different things. Like we could have went to Alibaba. Right. We could have went to Amazon. We could have shipped them from there to there. And then we would have got the right plugs then.
So, I mean, those are just some of the growing pains that you go through as an entrepreneur. And then all of a sudden you hire this HR department to come in and start telling you what you can and can't do. And before you wanted to give your employees gifts, hey, let's promote wellness and here's an
A
electric
bike.
bike and HR kind of slapped your hand on that.
Oh my gosh. So, yeah, as an entrepreneur, let's see here. Between bringing on an HR team, bringing on a proper financial team, right? Somebody that understands tax and someone that understands
Hmm.
the books and laws. And then you let your HR team and your finance team talk, and all of a sudden you're like, you can't do that and that and that and that and that anymore. So, no, you can't buy an electric bike for one of your employees and write it off as a gift. So, that was huge. I mean, even in our business, I'll, there's these moments that have these giant lessons. So
Hmm.
one of the lessons is obviously everything related to taxes. Well, as we scaled, it got even worse. So there were multiple points. There was one point when we got audited. This is after COVID, and they had changed the laws for um, being able to charge sales tax and state tax, depending on not just economic nexus, what were you doing there, but physical nexus.
Hmm.
So they basically took 100 employees that we have stretched across the entire United States, and every single state that we had employees on, we got served up with an audit stating that we had physical nexus and economic nexus, and we owe state taxes for every single state. So another entrepreneurial trials and tribulations. I think every phase comes with these moments.
And the reason that I think it's so important is you really have been in the shoes of what so many of the HVAC contractors are going through. You're growing and scaling your business every single day, right alongside
Yep.
all of your HVAC contractors that are growing and scaling their business. And so your team has that experience. You have that know-how. But let's cycle back into talking about marketing and advertising here a little bit. There's a lot of changes that have happened. And there's probably a lot more changes that are going to happen as we continue down the road and look at things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, having all of these resources on our team, it allows us to take a look at our clients from a different angle. So,
Mm.
a lot of times we don't even start with marketing. A lot of times when we sit down and we do the initial consultation, we're diving into the financials and asking simple questions such as are they offering financing on 100% of their deals? Do they know and have access to no dealer fee financing? Do they understand the different programs that are available and why having multiple options for consumers is important? Are they including their dealer fee as part of their cost of goods sold, including a flat
Mm.
7% across everything? Or are they taking a tail whipping every time somebody, moves from a cash sale to a finance sale and they're eating that 19%? Are they paying commissions on the total? Are they paying commissions on the gross? And are they sure that they properly priced their jobs? We've seen instances multiple times where not only were they not including financing fees, they were offering, they thought it was going to be a cash purchase. Then they wound up moving to financing. Customer wanted something that had somewhere in excess of 19% as far as the fees that were associated with that loan. On top of that, the dealer wasn't pricing for the fact that it was up a mountain. You had to go up a spiral staircase. It was 3 stories tall. And there's all of these things that increase the cost drastically. And the salesperson technically, discounted the initial price. Then you start tacking on these things and is commissioned on the total value of the ticket. And those are things that prevent you from being able to invest in marketing properly. So
Right.
if you don't have your pricing nailed down, oh, actually, you know what? Let me back up. On top of that, they were offering their own extended warranty and covering the cost for that warranty on top of what was being offered by the manufacturer. So it just, there's all these moments where there's 1% here, 3% here, 4% here, and that is going to waste or that is making a move backwards. So technically, we need to get to the point where you're properly pricing everything that you're doing. You understand efficiency by resource, and you understand what your resource level in is. How many resources do I have? How many hours in a day? How many hours can they work? Are we generating cash for those particular hours? Then we need to get to the point where we are including marketing in our pricing. So if I am a $5 million company and I want to hit 10 million, you want 100% year over year growth. We need to have already preset that what we're going to market with includes 3% allocation of gross revenue that's allocated towards search engine optimization. The dollar amount you invest year over year grows. Why? Because your gross revenue increases, the percent stays the same. We need to make sure that we've got around 3% that's allocated towards paid advertising. That's your lever, right? Things I can turn on, turn off, turn up, turn down. So if I decide to bring on and recruit some additional people and I'm not ranking in that area or I don't have leads in that area, I can turn on paid ads until I get my SEO plan and I get visible in those areas, and I can turn it off. We need to have the same thing for GLSA. We need to make sure that Google Local Service Ads is operating and you're able to have max budget. On top of that, we need a portion that's allocated towards building your brand, imprint marketing, getting in front of consumers and imprinting your brand in front of them. And then we need something that's going to help generate loyalty and referrals and expansion that way. So if we don't have a proper marketing budget, it's hard to figure out how to allocate. And at every stage within your business, your allocation needs to change. When you get to the point where you're a $10 million company, by now this is a different kind of business. You're not in the same website you had during every other phase. So your website should be evolving with your business. When you first start out, like I said, it's that DIY project. And as you continue to scale, it needs to advance. Well, so does your marketing strategy. So let's fast forward to a $10 million company. The conversation is much different. Why? Because they have the proper tracking systems in place. Maybe they're using Service Titan and they've got Marketing Pro and Optimizer in place. And we have campaigns that are created for every single marketing avenue and channel. And we're able to determine for every dollar that I invest in that particular marketing and advertising, I know exactly what the return is. So
Well,
when
you just said a key thing there. You
Yes.
said investing, and I'm going to go down another little rabbit hole here.
Okay.
So you've also really spent a lot of time in investing, and you always tell me the story about your kids who sat you down and they said, "Hey, you need to get onto this cryptocurrency bandwagon," and that was a couple of years ago when they did that. But they've actually done very, very well for themselves. When is the best time to start investing?
Investing in non-marketing
Yeah,
activities?
just investing in general.
Investing.
I'll tie this back in just a second.
Okay. So, I mean, I have lots of investments.
I know you do.
I feel like from an investment standpoint, I've always had something that's investing in compounding interest.
Mhm.
So when you look at the dollars that you have, you've got to be able to take $1 and you've got to turn it into 3. And then you need to learn systemically how to take $1 and convert it into 5, $1 and convert it into 10, $1 and convert it into 33. These are all the different investing stages. So I think in the beginning, you're investing in people, and then you're investing in technology, and then you're investing in marketing, and then you're investing in brand, and then you're investing in other things. So getting to the point where you have a portion of your revenue that is leveraged. For example, I play stocks
Mhm.
like crazy. So whether it's crypto or Tesla or Microsoft or my long term or Meta or Amazon or Google or all of these different stock markets, I think that's critical. I also invest in real estate. So I think that's investing is a mindset. And when you look at advertising, a lot of times they're looking at it as a spend.
Right.
And if that's your mind is how much am I going to spend instead of how am I going to create a system that creates a cash machine that produces cash, that's investing. So if you're investing in things that have a long-term permanent asset on your business or permanent impact on your business that create compounding interest, now we're properly using our money. A lot of times I see the entrepreneurs literally burning and churning cash, going through marketing company, not asking the right questions, not educating themselves enough to be able to see if that's a good decision, working with somebody that's in their backyard that doesn't know the industry, doesn't know HVAC, doesn't know digital marketing, but it feels safe and it feels comfortable. So they do wind up spending, and they spend over and over and over again on all these different wrong decisions, and it winds up costing them more than if they had done it right at the beginning.
Well, and the funny thing about investing, what a lot of people unfortunately do is they buy high and they sell low.
Yeah, don't get excited because it went up.
Right.
You get excited when it goes down.
But that's where it takes kind of that iron will, right? You got to go in there and say, okay, it's going down. I think it's almost at the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and purchase. And then you wait and you wait. And it's the same thing in investing in marketing and advertising. what so many people do is they buy the marketing and advertising when it's
Oh,
high, and they get out of it when it's low. But that's when you're just about to start making that ROI, that return on investment. But if you change your mindset and you look at marketing and advertising, and a good mutual friend of ours, Ruth King,
yep.
she tells a story all the time about one of her clients that says, you know, I just spent, I forget what the amount was, but let's say it was $10,000 on this marketing program. And she says, well, but did it make you money? And he goes back and he says, well, yeah, we actually netted at about, $20,000 in profit. We'll do it again.
Right.
Don't complain about the
Right.
fact that it was $10,000. If it's making you money, then
Do it
do it
again.
again.
Yes.
It's an investment, and that is a completely different mindset that a lot of entrepreneurs
Don't have.
have when it comes to marketing and advertising.
I see your tie-in. I'll match you. I think that's strong. So 100% agree. That is, for example, during COVID. During COVID, the market was hot, right? They hired an agency. They were excited. They spent some money. They took their eye off the ball, didn't pay attention to what the agency was doing. Didn't matter because consumers got locked down for 2 years. Money was readily available. They had excess cash. They had home projects. It was easy to borrow money. All of these things that made it a fake market. That's a pretend market. That's not real. And when the economy switches to a normal state, this is a normal state. We're going to go through ups and downs. If you look at your value on your real estate, on your home, if you look at your value on your stock, it has all of these up and down. We're going to have a presidential election year. That's going to happen every 4 years. So as we go into a normal market, now, instead of panicking, when consumer demand contracts, that means you have to expand your visibility in order to suppress or not feel the contraction from consumers. So if consumer demand contracts by 60%, then I need to expand my visibility either through expansion of the total number of services that I'm available and I can be found for, or by expanding the total number of locations, or both. I need to get in front of a higher percentage. You're essentially trying to get in front of homes. So if there's 1,000 homes that you're currently in front of, because you're only targeting one particular set of services in one particular market, and this is what's available in that area, and extrapolate that to 100,000 homes, right? And demand in that area, because consumers came off the market. They installed their systems way early. They did that during COVID when they didn't need to. So that's pulled people off. You also have obviously private equity, and you have, even in some markets, you have your energy companies that are pulling consumers off the market. There's all these things that are pulling consumers off the market. So you've got to make sure that in a down market, you don't panic and you don't contract with the contracting market. You've got to expand. You've got to look at how many total homes by each individual market, how many total searches are happening on a monthly basis by every single search term that consumers are using in order to find companies like yours. And then you need to implement the right strategy in order to get in front of those people who have a demand right now by at least 60% to maintain, let alone if you want to double down and grow. So you're 100% right, as in this is in your head and in your heart. Those are the two places this lives, right? And all of our clients who are expanding during a contraction, they're blowing and growing. They're hiring. Not only are they hiring, they know that their competitors in their local market are panicking and pulling back and contracting. So they're actually getting more aggressive. We have geofencing campaigns right now for our clients who are targeting competitors that are in their market. Every time that competitor, anytime their staff goes to work, it serves them up an ad. We fence them as soon as they go into that office. We know they're going to work. And when they go home or check their Facebook or check sports stats or check anything else, they get an ad that says, hey, we've got a $10,000 signing bonus at XYZ Heating and Air Conditioning. And we're recruiting like crazy because we've mastered the system to be able to expand on demand and get in front of a larger group of consumers in any market, anytime, anywhere, and in any economic environment. Once you master the process, there's no such thing as contraction unless it's small blips in the system because of the things that happen at companies that are difficult, right? those are always going to happen. Plan for them. But outside of that, this is especially when you have data that tells you this campaign produces 33 to 1 every time. So when you said find out what works and do more of it, that's a methodology. Our account managers and account executives and our squads, every time they get on a call with a client, there's 3 phases. What's working? Do more of it. What's not working? Let's either modify it and test again, or let's stop it and reallocate it to something that is. And what's next? What am I not doing yet that I need to start doing right now? Because marketing and advertising is huge. There's so many different angles, but you need to be strategic. Don't throw everything against the wall and see if it sticks. Everything needs to happen in the right time, right order. And it has to be, you have to understand the contingencies, the connections. You've got to understand the dependencies. So if I go after SEO and I have horrible content or horrible website, your SEO is never going to work. If I go after paid ads and my domain authority on my website is a 2, you're going to pay 10 times more for paid ads. If I implement marketing and advertising strategies and my reputation is horrible, it's going to cost you more for every dollar. So there's a sequence to this.
Well, and to your point, we talk about technology keeps changing, right? Where the consumers go keeps changing. Just like in your investment portfolio, I'm assuming you probably don't have a whole lot of Blockbuster stock that's sitting in there right now.
No.
But at one point in time, that was a pretty hot stock to pick up as they were growing and expanding across North America. And so you got to continually look at your portfolio. If you take a look at all of the marketing and advertising that you're doing and figure out, hey, let's make sure we're measuring the ROI. To your point, if you got something that you know is paying back 30 to 1, hey, let's double down on that. If I've got something that I look at it and say, hey, we're getting a 1-to-1 ratio on this particular, well, maybe we need to look at shifting some of our strategy to a different place that's going to help us get to where we're going. So if I'm an HVAC contractor, just like, if I was a beginning investor and looking to get started, you might recommend to that younger person out there, hey, go look at something like a Robinhood and you can get started in looking at things. And then you might get a little bit more sophisticated as time goes on. Where is the first place that I go to start looking at investing in my marketing and advertising for my business?
I mean, you got to get in front of consumers when and where they are. So you guys go to a holiday party, ask all of your friends and family, what do they do when they need something? They're likely going to say, I Google it. Get in front of them there. I mean, that's first and foremost. Now, that's enough. That's plenty for everybody to try and master because Google is changing drastically, right? You have the introduction of SGE or generative search, which is an AI search engine connected to Bard. You have a different model that has already been launched. It's already in labs. People have already tested it and it's different. So it's living, that new version of Google is already living in labs and the adoption rate is going to change. There was a pretty big skyrocket of early adopters right out of the gate. It's leveled back off. It's going to continue to increase as they continue to fine-tune that platform. But when you take Google's traditional knowledge base and now you couple it with an AI search, a generative search, a more intelligent version of the traditional knowledge base, the websites we have today are not going to be the same a year from now. And they're surely not going to be the same 2 or 3 years from now because the rate of consumer adoption with technology and AI and so forth, it's moving at the speed of light, right? It took forever to advance technology previously. It does not now. So if you're sitting in an environment where you feel like, or where you're stuck in your way, you're utilizing the same technology, you don't want to invest in growing, you want to stick to, well, I bought that website 3 years ago, I don't want to do it again. Ooh. This is the moment when everything that you know needs to evolve, and it has to evolve very, very fast because as consumers evolve very quickly, business owners need to catch up. And in an SGE environment or an AI search engine environment, the game changes. This isn't about having content about AC repair, AC installation, AC replacement, AC maintenance, AC tune-up, all of those things. This is now about providing data to Google and transaction-based tools built within your website that allow consumers to get the same information you would tell them if you were in person. So if you were previously giving them an explanation about the difference between a fit system and a traditional system, if you were diving into data as far as warranty and maintenance and financing options, if you are looking at the longevity of the system, all of the maintenance that needs to take place on the system, rebates that were available, if you're having a conversation about pricing and the different style of pricing and how much it costs on a monthly basis to be able to upgrade to a higher efficiency system, all of these sales tools, I mean, even down to how does it impact your home? Does it remove condensation from the windows? I'm sitting right next to my home Joy. So, right, I could sell fit because I know what it does in the home. But all of that information that you used to save and make it private so that it was a personal conversation at the kitchen table, you can't do that anymore. You better start thinking on your website about taking all that technical knowledge and information and getting it into the content, which you're not going to be able to just push a button and outsource to an agency and say, oh, you should know all of these technical subject matter expert details about this system and everything about it. You're going to have to participate. So there's no easy button in the future that says, I'm just going to outsource it and I'm going to move out of it. You better take the best people in your company that know this information in and out and digitize them no different than you and I are digitizing this information. You've got to create copies of all of that information. You've got to get them on your website, and you've got to, that has to be put into your website in a format called structured data. And structured data allows Google to understand the consumer's question, intent, and capture that information and present it back to them with additional recommendations, not just AC repair. So this is going to get really complicated, and this is not the time to not show up to the table or show up with an appetite but not want to participate. All
Sure.
parties have to show up to the table with an appetite.
Well, and I think a lot of people think Google is, well, why does Google keep changing the rules? Why are they changing their algorithms? And people get a little bit upset about that. Excuse me. They get a little bit upset about that.
Mhm.
But what Google's ultimately trying to do is just find the right solution for the consumer.
Absolutely.
They're trying to help the consumer find exactly what they're looking for. And they don't want companies to be able to game that system and not give the consumer what the consumer thought that they were going to get. And so that's why Google has so many pieces to their algorithms. They look at reviews. They want to know that there's a good experience. They look for, they're trying to be predictive in what the consumer is actually asking, so they can connect them to the right expert that's going to help solve the problem that the consumer has. Where do you see AI tying into all of this? You talk about content, and I think by now everybody's sat in at least one meeting. We just talked about getting out of all of the big HVAC events that happen.
Yep.
Everybody sat in one meeting at least where somebody's talked about AI and Chat GPT. Where do you see that impacting marketing and advertising as we go into 2024 and beyond that?
Everywhere. Not just marketing and advertising. It should impact everywhere. In our own business, we have ChatGPT's the rookie move now. Like, if you understand ChatGPT, that's the rookie version, right? Large language model, and where ChatGPT and I'm going to say the behind the scenes version of that is going to impact every part of our entire business. It should impact, you should be looking at how can it be incorporated in your HR and recruiting. In our world, we now have a full AI platform that is pre-scanning and auto-scanning all of the resumes. It is looking out to social media sites. It's evaluating their network. It's evaluating their authority score in particular topics and industries and so forth. We now have AI that's completely integrated into our accounting system to be able to evaluate automatically any dunning, any late pays, any slow pays, any history, any trends that's involved in that. It's now completely integrated, for example, our paid advertising department. I'm so excited about it. Like I can't give massive details because this is the secret sauce. But the amount of work we've done in the last 6 months in leveraging paid ads or leveraging AI as it relates to our paid advertising department is ridiculous.
Mm.
We're rolling out things in 2024 that are going to knock the socks off being able to grow a business. And I'm not a fan of paid ads.
Mm-hmm.
I've been talking bad about it, so I apologize. I've been talking bad about it forever because you don't own it. However, we've got it to the point where we now can, if a company comes to us, for example, our private equity groups, they don't want to have a conversation about how to budget or what they should be investing in. They want to come to the table and they want to say, we want to move from 50 million to 100 million and we want to do it in the next 16 months. How do we get there? So through AI, being able to create predictive analysis, to be able to auto scale and build thousands of landing pages for every single campaign, to be able to analyze A/B variant testing across multiple platforms at the same time instantly and get data back. It's put us in a position where not only do you have more intelligent data and you have the ability to launch a campaign significantly faster than it's taken in the past, but I can all but guarantee I can hit that number with this spend. So whatever the number is, you want to go from 5 million to 10 million, I can tell you exactly how much to spend and within what time frame. The AI will now help us work backwards to tell you you'll be there within 18 months, 16 months, 14 months, whatever your goal is. The only thing that it can't do is scale from a human capacity standpoint, but it can tell you how many people you're going to need at every single level. It can prep you for what kind of hiring strategy do you need to have to support that demand and capacity at every single scale. What it cannot do is answer all your calls for you and make sure you have the proper process evenings and weekends. But it can convert about 60% of the people that come to your website without you having to be involved to eliminate a lot of issues as it relates to human beings. It can auto scan phone calls and be able to determine when you have a specific CSR that is underperforming. There are a million ways that AI should be leveraged within your business. So when you're looking to grow your business, just make sure that if you're working with an agency, for example, I'll say this: if you chose to work with CI Web Group 2006 through, I'm gonna say 2000 and probably 13 to 16, like we kind of suck. I don't know how to say it any better than that, but like we were learning heating and
Mm-hmm.
air conditioning. We were learning everything and we were smaller compared to CI Web Group now. It's a night and day difference. So as an entrepreneur, you got to go through all those evolutionary stages in your own business, and you need to make sure that whoever's coaching you, whoever's guiding you, whoever's advising you, make sure you're learning from the best. It's really, really critical. I have one thing to add to that. I just want to throw into this podcast. Right now, it's a huge craze to rebrand your company. I understand, and I have massive respect and credence and credibility for rebranding. I understand why. I understand the benefit. However, there's a place where whoever's guiding you on your branding project, that needs to end at the branding project. We are in the process of I think we have at least 30 companies just in the last month and a half to 2 months that are in our pipeline that went through a rebrand project a year ago or 2 years ago that demolished their business, not because of the rebrand. It demolished their business because of how they implemented the brand from a technical standpoint. Somewhere, someone or multiple people are advising them that when you have your brand new brand and your brand new logo and everything else, and all your trucks are rewrapped, and you take this domain that you have history on, it's got a domain authority of 26, it's got 6,000 visits or 3,000 visits, or even a small one with 1,500 visits that are coming to it on a regular basis. It is currently your feeding machine for your business, and somehow they're getting advised that they should pop up a brand new URL with their call XYZ brand new domain and 301 redirect the old site to the new site, and it is tanking their business one after another after another. And we've had entrepreneur after entrepreneur coming in that is near tears about this process. So I want to throw it out there, and I'm putting out because this is huge right now. It's a big trend. That is not the process. If you had the ability to turn off all your phone systems for the next 12 months and take all the calls you were getting from your own brand, your old domain, all of your old social media platforms and everything else, and you're fine saying, we're good. We can cut that off. We have enough data, consumers in our database. We can stay busy with that, and I don't need any new business. Then knock it out. But most companies cannot afford to tank their entire feeding machine and pop up an infant online with no domain authority, no traffic, and no new business and survive that kind of a challenge. So I threw that in.
Going back to our AI conversation and talking about that, let's, you talked about some of the things you should do. Many people listening to this probably have heard the story about the lawyer that went ahead and used ChatGPT to put together to search for a case, and ChatGPT actually made up a fictitious case that he used in court and actually got in trouble for.
Oh,
What should you not use ChatGPT or AI for? What things does it not solve for?
your web and your blog content. So Google has disavowed and had an issue and made it very well known that it doesn't want AI generated content throughout your website. So you can use it for your email marketing campaigns. You can use it to create your entire social media marketing campaign. You don't need to create or pay an agency for that. You can do that on your own. Same thing with email marketing. If you just got cash and you want to send it over, use it for that. But as far as generating content, straight generating content without human beings that are writing that content, adding in custom content, modifying it, and so forth, don't do that, right? You can use ChatGPT to start your business plan. Don't negate at some point sitting down with a lawyer, right? You can choose your ChatGPT for just about anything. But the big one not to use it for is do not have somebody that is just pumping out articles on ChatGPT and throwing them on your website. There has to be human beings behind that. It gets picked up by an AI checker. That content gets flagged. That content can get pulled down. And not only that, they can start de-indexing pages on your website. They can de-index your entire website. So that can turn into a lot of trouble. And we've seen that already. You can use it for metadata, though. That's a great way to get metadata written for your website.
Where do you see AI going in the future? There's been some cases that have actually, in fact, Europe just put some pretty hard and fast rules around AI technology. And there's been buzz among some of the CEOs here in North America as well, talking about what sort of regulation should be around AI. We just saw even this Screen Actors Guild. They just got some language written into their contracts that they're putting into their to protect jobs. Do you see any of that impacting the HVAC industry as we start to look at governance or guidance as far as AI? And
That's a really good question. It's going to cause disruption. It's going to cause problems. There's going to be the risky go-getters that try things and wait till they get their hands slapped. All of that's going to happen. Those are all natural. On one hand, what I've seen from AI, even with our developers, like our developers that would have to spend 2 hours trying to find an error in the code that was causing a particular problem, we don't have to do that anymore because within React and Python, AI actually can predict exactly what they're trying to do with their code, and it automatically spits out the next section. So we're able to operate more efficiently, faster, less errors, less emissions, less issues with it. So I love all of those things. On the flip side, one of my little cousins called and was like, hey, check this out. I just made this new AI bot and it's based on this influencer and her name is this and her name is that. And he made his own version of her with her voice, her face, her body. I'll just leave that alone. And is now pumping out content. It's already getting paid for his little fake version of this influencer that he created using AI as well. So I'm like, you're going to go to jail. That is a problem. Should not do that. So I'm also very, very nervous about, other things that can happen with with AI. I mean, technically you're not going to know the difference between a real person and an AI generated person,
Hmm.
and that time is around the corner. So the content and information that you read, that you hear, that you see online, I think there has to be some discretion in, um, you know, what you're seeing online might not be a real human. It might be the person you see them. It looks like the real human. But I mean, voice.com, that they were preparing for that. They created an entire platform where you could get on there and they would pay you to record your voice, to read off different scripts, just like if you're at a cattle call and had to read lines with somebody for a film. They did the same thing and they got millions and millions and millions of voices from people. And those voices are now being utilized in everything, right? It's now you can transcribe a voice on anything. So I do think actually that brings up a good point. I do think there is something I can say right now for all of you guys. You need to be careful of every single phone call you get. If somebody's calling you up and they're just trying to get you to say yes to something, they're trying to record you saying yes to something and get your audio. So you got to be careful of spam calls. You got to be careful of every email that you get, the spam emails that are coming out, people asking you to pay invoices, send an account file, send click a link, whatever it is. I mean, right now, I think AI has taken the hacker world and the scammer world and it's been able to put them on steroids overnight. So I think better security in everything that you do needs to become part of your protocol, and you're going to have different policies in place. I know we do quarterly security training with our entire
Hmm.
organization, and let them know, new strategies that people or companies or bots are utilizing and deploying on a regular basis in order to try and scam information. So we have to do that with our own team. That's likely something they should do too.
What size company should start looking at cybersecurity?
I think there's some simple best
Hmm.
practices. I mean, I'm not, trying to sell Apple, but get off your PCs and get onto get onto start with that, get onto a Mac so that you're not, vulnerable from day one. Same thing with your Android devices. But I I don't think you really have a choice, but to make cybersecurity and security part of your MO day one at your home, at your office, and with your team. Um, there's a lot of horror stories I've seen with companies who have been had and their entire bank accounts drained. So um, I think you have to do that day one. Just as a human, forget
Yeah.
about being an entrepreneur. As a human, need to be significantly more aware of, conscious of, and educated on all of these things.
Jennifer, I really appreciate you coming in here. This has been a lot of fun, as it always is, and our time goes so quick. I is there any last words of wisdom or anything you want to share with our audience before we go here?
I'm going to say don't be overwhelmed. We covered a tremendous amount of information. One of the first things you can do is really surround yourself with the best coaches. Is you've got to get a team that can advise you on all of these things, and hopefully you can learn some of the lessons. My business coach always told me, if I could only get you to do the things you already know you should, you'd consider me a genius.
Hmm.
And I used to just sit and ponder that and go, okay, that's a big list. Like there's a whole bunch of things that I know I should do. So, start off with, make sure you have the absolute best advisory team when it comes to everything: financial, operational, marketing, advertising, branding, and ask a lot of questions. You can't bring on someone or a company that's going to care more about your business than you do. So you can't take your eye off the ball. You've got to stay in the game. You've got to show up. You've got to participate. You've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And you might be amazing at XYZ, but you've got to become great at a lot of other things to be a successful entrepreneur and a great leader for your team, and build a great culture and deliver an amazing service and build a great brand and reputation. And hopefully stay true to your original dream and build a business that generates more time, money, and freedom so that you can enjoy the fruits of your amazing labor.
Well, Jennifer, again, thank you. And for all of you that are out there, I would encourage you, if you like this episode and you want to see more of it, please go ahead and like this episode. I encourage all of you to follow us so you can stay informed of all of our upcoming episodes that we do have. And if you'd like to see more of Jennifer and her team, please go to the HVAC Learning Campus, where you can see all of the workshops that her and her team have that they're going on all across North America. Jennifer, thank you so much for coming
Where do
in
I
here
go?
and joining us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.